am KB with Nerdophiles. How are you both?
Hi.
Fantastic. How are you?
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Okay. Like you guys have taken me on a journey. I've seen the first half of season one. And every single episode, I'm like, oh my gosh, every single episode. So I want to start with you first, Saoirse. So from the episodes I've seen, Misia is so loyal. I mean, to her own detriment to Pampinea, and Pampinea just runs all over her. So does Misia kind of find her own agency as the series continues? And does that have to do anything with her kind of developing this friendship with the real Filomena, empowering her to do so?
I think it's definitely a nice moment to find her at that we get to see that early on in the series. She's going through quite a lot of grief as well after episode one. So it's nice for her to sort of find some humane connection outside of Pampinea that isn't so toxic or taking so much from her, as much as she finds so much joy in pleasing Pampinea. And there is joy to be had as well, and that as toxic as it can get, she really enjoys it. But I think what's interesting about the character is that she's never posed that question to herself. I don't think that she starts off in this series, or that she ever really asks herself that question of finding independence and finding agency within herself. It's not her desire.
It's interesting. I like that you said joy because it does seem like she genuinely does enjoy doing these things for Pampinea. Like she is always kind of like, oh, it's so thrilled to see you happy. And yet, on the converse side, Pampinea is just kind of like, okay, like, sure.
Yeah.
So, and for you, Zasha, so, Pampinea is borderline delusional almost kind of with the idea that she's carrying Leonardo's child and that like he's the great love of her life. Cause it's like, girl, you never even met him. Like, never in your wildest dreams. And so that's really causing her, along with her exceptional personality, to make enemies with a lot of people in that house. So, what do you find like creatively? What was kind of the hardest part of portraying Pampinea? Because, I think from what I've seen thus far, there's not a lot of empathy that the audience will have with her. So, how did you just kind of find the balance of like crafting her while keeping all of these enemies at bay on screen?
I think it was just about uh trying to play her without any judgment. I think
Mm,
the reason that she is the way she is because she's hurting so desperately. Like she is her own worst enemy. Like she lives in the prison of her own mind where she feels like she is not good enough. Nobody loves her. I mean, it's one of the reasons I think her dependence on Misia is so great because I think she's really the only constant that exists in her life. She's granted it is she's essentially forcing her to be there, but I do think that Misia genuinely loves Pampinea, and I think it's probably the only time she's ever felt true love.
mm,
And I think in her hunt to find a partner who loves her, she inadvertently pushes everybody away because she is so insufferable. But someone who is that horrible to be around doesn't, I don't think that she's doing it intentionally, and I don't think that she thinks that she's that insufferable. And so I tried to just approach playing her, yeah, from a place of no judgment and compassion of like, why is she behaving this way? It's not from a place of malice, it's from a place of deep, deep, deep insecurity.
I like that you said that, like, they're kind of the true love story for her. Like, even if she does not, always kind of express that with her or show it to her, that she definitely still has love for her. I like that you said it that way because most people won't think about it in that way, but it's true. I mean, she is deeply hurting. Her age is looming over her head every 5 minutes. She's like, I am unwed, which in her mind means she's unloved, but that's not the case at all. So, wow, thank you for that. And just thank you so much for taking the time to chat with Nerdophiles. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day. Hi, so I am KB with Nerdophiles. How are you both?
Hey KB,
Hi,
how are
great.
you?
How
I
are
love your
you?
headband.
And I'll have a
Doing
bold
well.
lip.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, I have to start with you, Kathleen, because we go on a wild ride from the episodes that I've seen thus far.
How many
So
have
for
you seen? Just out of curiosity.
I've seen half. I've seen
Okay.
4.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You're about to, yeah. Okay, cool.
So, what was the most creatively challenging episode for you to craft? And what character did you kind of end up finding yourself drawn to the most by series end? I mean, other than Sirisco, obviously. We'll pick someone else.
Oh man, creatively challenging. To me, it's always the finale. I went through quite a creative journey with that episode, just because it's always obviously it's the furthest one that's the furthest away from the writer's room. So our writer's room wrapped in August of 2022, and then we moved to Italy in November of that year and started pre-production. We started shooting in January. And there's a lot to be said for writing and shooting concurrently. It's I think the way to do things sometimes, because when you have all that space, you don't get a chance to catch up to yourself until you're really in it. But the blessing in that is that writing the finale really felt like I had everyone's strengths in mind. I knew exactly kind of where the performances were all landing and where the characters, because obviously you craft the characters with the actors as you go along. So I had the blessing of all of the sort of wisdom and participation of the actors. But it was, you want to land it. You got to land the plane. It's the biggest, I think it's the biggest part of the job. And then, the character that I relate to the most, it's a good question. There's elements of everybody. There's something about Licisca's sort of darkness and sort of she's almost got like a little bit of a psychopath streak, and I wouldn't say that I have that, but I found it a really interesting thing to write to. Because the stakes are so high in the setting, and death is coming for us all, and so but for all of these characters, it's quite imminent. And so I think I had fun kind of exploring what it would be like to really just look out for yourself, because that's not something that we really do a lot.
I like that you said it that way, because a psychopathic streak is it. I mean, she does start off with attempted murder, so it is a little
yeah, right. And then completes.
right.
Yeah, so
right.
she does a lot. She's a big she's got a body count.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
In more ways than one, I think.
Yes, exactly.
So for you, Tony, Sirisco, I actually really, really like Sirisco, but I have to know, are his motivations to get Pampinea out strictly due to kind of a broken heart? Or do you think that there's more to why he needs her out of that house so quickly? Because when things go left and she treats him the way that she does, he immediately is like, oh, okay, bet. I have a plan.
Yeah. I think it's all those layers, because I think a huge core of Sirisco is desperation. Is just constantly, that turn that happened in the pilot, he's a very loyal man, and so once that happened, he needed to find someone to be loyal to. Obviously, that was broken, but then just that deep, deep need of connection and the desperation, and then he falls prey to his own neediness. So it kind of and then realizes it, and then runs the opposite direction, and then finds somebody else to attach to. So there's a real codependent theme that's happening. I think there's a real codependent theme on most of my work.
Huh. That's weird.
That's weird.
Well, no reason to look into that further.
No.
Right. We don't need to unpack that at all.
Don't worry about it.
Therapists are salivating.
Just keep it with the character. Once you keep the character, then you can remove that out of your life.
Yeah.
Well, yes, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with Nerdophiles. I can't wait for audiences to see this, because truly, I've been on a journey. I've been on a ride, and I've been dying laughing the entire time.
Oh, that's
and
good.
oh my God, you're only at episode 4.
I know,
Hold
which
on
is why
to your
I'm
hat. Hold on
I
to
know.
that
I'm like,
cute
I need to
headband.
go. I
Yeah.
need to watch more,
Oh,
like
I
right
like the
now.
nails too. The nails are
I know,
great.
she's got great stuff.
Oh, thank you so
Great
much. I
style.
really appreciate it. So yes, I can't wait for everyone to see it. So
Thank
just thank you
Aw.
so much for taking time to chat with Nerdophiles.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys too. Have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
Hi, I'm KB with Nerdophiles. How are you both?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I am doing okay. What a wild ride. Okay, so your characters swap places after an attempted murder of sorts.
Right? Thank you. I'm glad to witness you guys. It's just a little murder, right?
Just a little,
Little
nothing
one.
too serious, nothing too serious. And of course, Filomena, the real Filomena, is not thrilled to be a handmaiden now. Like she is like not having any parts of it. So do you think by your characters kind of swapping places, it ends up creating empathy for the other person in them? And I will start with you, Jessica.
I think absolutely. I think, yeah, not necessarily like swapping places and, having to do all the things that Licisca has done, but just kind of, just not having Licisca there and realizing like how much she, at the time she hates her for stealing her life, but I think not having her there, but having, other relationships there that can reflect her relationship with Licisca helps her to kind of recognize just how much, Licisca has done for her and how much she does mean to her. So yeah, definitely. To answer your question, yeah.
And how much she sacrificed for her too. I don't think she's really thinking top of mind. All the things that she does for her on a daily basis, but also all the things that she puts up with too, I feel like,
I mean, yeah, she's a bit of a handful.
And what about for you, Tanya? Do you think on the converse side, like them kind of swapping places allows her to kind of understand Filomena just a little bit more?
I think for Licisca, it really shines a light on the pressures of the social constructs around courting, particularly because Licisca just sort of feels like I've got nothing to live for. I just want to do what I want. I want him. I want to have sex with him because he looks yummy. And but then, to have Panfilo come in and be like, no, you can't do that. You've got to, if you to secure your place here, like no one is safe. Like you're just a woman, like you're not actually that safe. So you've got to like tie yourself to a man, but an appropriate man. And Licisca's like, but I don't want him, Kindro, and I think that maybe builds some sympathy about like women of that class, which she has always looked at and thought, God, you can just do whatever you want. And but actually, even for women of that high class, there are still so many restrictions and constraints for them.
Yeah, they're still so heavily tied to men, like everything they do, their entire livelihood. And it's not like she doesn't realize that until she's kind of in it, like, oh, I absolutely have to marry this man that I do not like in any capacity in order to survive.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just have to ask you both as actors, kind of what was the most creatively challenging episode to shoot, and what will you take away from this series that you may add to your repertoire for like other projects that come up? And I'll start with you first, Tanya.
I found the most challenging the first episodes where Licisca is pretending to be Filomena. Because there was always having to balance, even though Licisca is pretending to be someone else to people who have never met her or Filomena. So she kind of gets a free pass and she knows that these people are going to buy whatever she's selling. She doesn't have to actually imitate someone because they don't know, they totally believe that she is who she's saying she is, because why wouldn't they? Like she's wearing the clothes, of course she's a lady. But I still had to like, there's still a line where you're like, how much is she performing and how much is she being herself? And what would she be holding back in this moment? Whereas as the show goes on and she gets to be herself, that's obviously, it just creatively, it was just like, it was more, comfortable because she was just, oh, I can just be Licisca now. I'm not being Licisca being Filomena. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. What was the other part of that question?
No, that's good. And for you, Jessica, kind of what was the most creatively challenging?
I think similarly, also the beginning, which I was just thinking about, like, why would it have been the beginning? Because that's when Filomena was herself. But actually, I think Filomena was more herself at the end, or actually at any other given moment other than the beginning. I think that was the version of herself that she told herself she had to be in order to just navigate society, and just kind of getting that balance right, with undercurrents of what I knew was coming up in the show, because she's not, she can be a little bit of a brat, but I still wanted her to be likable, and just kind of figuring out that balance. So I think the earlier episodes, because like when I think that was challenging, and then like after I kind of like figured that out in my head, it was just the whole shoot was such a joy. I felt like every day on set, even though we were waking up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, it was such a joy to just be there. It was just like a big playground. I learned so much from just watching everyone. And sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much.
Oh, no, that's amazing. Listen, I can't wait for audiences to see it. And just thank you both for taking time to chat with Nerdophiles. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so
Thanks for
much.
having us.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.